It's better than dope. All cash, almost no heat. In the mid-1990s, prepaid phone cards turned wise guys into telecom entrepreneurs until two grand juries and a $94 million bill blew the lid off. This wasn't some corner hustle. It was a money river, and the mob rode it hard. Tonight, what phone cards really were, how the con worked, and who ran it. Joe Watts, Jackie Nose D'Amico, Frank Cali, and even Junior Gotti. We'll track how the scam spread across families, why regulators and the Fed slammed the window shut, and how a 25 cents a card offer helped keep one family from tearing itself apart. I'm James Proctor. Welcome to Real Mob Stories. Let's get into the hustle behind the cards. In the mid-1990s, telecom deregulation and new long-distance resellers rewired the market. International calls were very expensive, and immigrant corridors from Bensonhurst to Washington Heights needed a cheap, cash-on-the-counter way to call home. Prepaid cards solved it cleanly. You pay up front, dial an access number, enter a PIN, and you'll talk to Palermo, Santo Domingo, Mexico City without wrecking the phone bill. No contracts, no credit checks, just minutes in your pocket. As word spread in multilingual neighborhoods, demand surged. By the numbers, it's a rocket. From roughly $40 million in 1993 to over $2 billion just 5 years later in 1998. Industry insiders call it a market ripe for corruption because where the growth grows, the grifters go. Even major carriers sold legitimate cards, giving the whole space a halo of legitimacy. And that made it the perfect cover. Countless small brands, fast-moving distributors, and a blizzard of shell companies that most consumers and many regulators couldn't parse. Bottom line, sky-high demand, cash sales, thin oversight, and a product that could be rebranded overnight. In that world, it wasn't long before organized crews realized that they found a gold rush in plastic. So here's the pipeline. Simple, fast, and made for abuse. A mob-linked shell reseller signs a wholesale deal with a major carrier like AT&T or WorldCom. They'll be buying blocks of international minutes on credit, and it's 30 to 60 days before the bill's due. So on paper, it's just another telecom startup, but in reality, the clock's ticking. You see, they'll print thousands of branded cards, $5, $10, $20 cards, and they'll flood the street through distributors into the bodegas and newsstands and pretty much anywhere. You know, from 7-Elevens to convenience stores, like I said, the newsstands, you could pick these things up. Consumers would pay cash, scoop up the minutes, and the reseller booked a blizzard of revenue fast. And when the wholesale bill comes due, they don't pay. The carrier cuts service and eats the loss as bad debt. Meanwhile, the shell company's already pocketed the cash and is prepping the next shell. Along the way, the cards lie. You've got hidden fees, minutes shaven, and access numbers that work for a few days, and then they'll return busy signals once the carrier pulls the plug. When complaints spike, brand X will just vanish overnight. Brand Y appears the next morning. New name, new shell, the same scam. And the bonus, throwaway cards are untraceable. Crews use them to talk off the grid for bookmaking, moves, and sit-down logistics. Then they just toss them. And that's the hustle. Buy on credit, sell for cash, default, rebrand, and repeat. Before the phone cards went mainstream on the street, Joe Watts saw the opening. A trusted Gotti senior earner and enforcer, Watts had the clout and the nerve to turn prepaid minutes into a mob-grade revenue stream. Joe Watts operated with unusual independence. While the Gambino administration was wobbling post-Gotti Sr., Watts built the card pipeline outside formal control. He's moving volume, stacking cash, and for a time, not kicking up the kind of tribute that keeps bosses calm. On the street, guys say he was running wild, and the money justified it. The flagship was Communications Network Corporation, also known as Connectco. By 1995 and in 1996, investigators say Connecticut was selling over $20 million a month in cards around New York, and it looked like a hot telecom reseller. In practice, it was the engine of the buy on credit, sell for cash default play. In 1996, Connectco implodes, and WorldCom's left holding a $94 million unpaid tab. And that's not a rounding error. It's a neon sign. The cards were sold for cash. The wholesale bill never got paid, and WorldCom ate the loss. That's a classic theft of service pattern at scale. You see, big money draws big company. Jackie the Nose D'Amico and a young Franky Boy Cali moves into the lane with Watts, and that's when politics hits the pipeline. Here's the battlefield. 18th Avenue in Bensonhurst, the lane where prepaid minutes turned into real power. You had 5 players, 5 angles. Let's watch how the Money River pulls them into the same room. Joe Watts, the engine, minutes in, cards out, cash stacked. Jackie Nose D'Amico, the bridge to the administration. He keeps doors open. Franky Boy Cali, a young go-between, fluent in business and Sicilian diplomacy. Then you got Nicky Carrazzo. He moves to monetize and pays tribute up the line and reads the room. And finally, you got Junior Gotti, the panel decision maker. If there's money here, he wants the administration's end. You see, the heat starts when Nicky Carrazzo tells Junior Gotti the administration isn't getting its end from the Watts, D'Amico, Cali lane. And that lands like a hammer. Junior threatens to break Jackie down from Capo. He calls in Watts to dress him down, and he blots Frank Cali's advancement. 1 complaint, 3 pressure points. And if mishandled, this isn't just a money fight. It's a street-level civil war. Enter Mikey Scars de Leonardo, the mediator. He walks this minefield. First stop, Frank Cali. Mikey Scars lays it out. Junior's hot. What do you want to do? Cali, still a young associate, doesn't blink. On the spot, without running back to Watts, he says, 25 cents a card. It's a clean, immediate kick-up to make the administration whole. Mikey Scars carries the number in, and Junior accepts. Jackie and Cali are off the hook. The Watts Junior friction shifts to a different track, but the family doesn't blow up on 18th Avenue. You see, this is Cali's template in one move. Give a slice, save the pie. He stabilizes revenue, diffuses egos, and keeps the street earnings. No theatrics, just quiet leverage. And the lesson sticks. In a deregulated high-velocity racket, the broker beats the barker. That's how Frank Cali cements his rep as a stabilizer, a man you want in the room when money and pride collide. But the money didn't just stay on 18th Avenue. When margins are fat, everybody wants a lane. In New York, Wild Bill Cutolo, the Colombos, and Vinny Ocean Palermo, the DeCavalcantes, they team up. It's an unusual cooperation that fused the Brooklyn-Staten Island routes with Jersey and Manhattan storefront muscle, and together they push mass volumes of cards, which is proof that when profits spike, old lines blur. Post-1997, Colombo veteran Donnie Shax Montemorano lands in Los Angeles and links with a Tommy Gambino network. Wherever the true pedigree, the distribution was real. Cards moved through Southern California into Vegas and Phoenix. The playbook's the same. Buy minutes, print fast, sell for cash. Only now it's bi-coastal. Inside New York, Bonanno and Lucchese names surface in the orbit. On the Genovese side, toll booth fraud talent slides naturally into calling card tech. It's the same instincts, new medium. Regional resales pop as far as New England. New York source cards are in Boston shops. The wider the footprint, the hotter the spotlight. This river was so rich it pulled in non-traditional players, names you wouldn't even expect. First of all, you got Denny McLain. He's a former Detroit Tiger star. He turns up with a telecom venture called Tel Central. Investigators later allege he supplied minutes and finance pieces of Junior Guy's competing phone card plays, and it was enough to draw wiretaps and a grand jury look. When the heat rose, McLain leaned on cooperation to avoid serious time. And this left mob partners fuming that the civilian walked away while the mob caught the charges. And then there's Melvin Cooper. He's a 1980s super Shylock tied to big-ticket loans in the garbage trade. After prison, he pivots, jumping into long-distance resale and prepaid cards as a freelancer. He doesn't have a button, no family slot, just chasing deregulated margins. The comeback doesn't last because probation violations over business dealings and travel sent him back inside. His arc proves a point. This hustle drew opportunists, not just wise guys. When outsiders pile in, the footprint widens and so does the heat. By late 1997, two grand juries, one in Brooklyn and the other in Manhattan, are drilling into the calling card pipeline. In January of 1998, headlines tie Junior Gotti to mob-linked firms selling prepaid cards. The message lands that Telecom isn't off-limit to racketeering. It's really the new frontier. In 1999, the RICO packages land. Case agents describe it as one of the first major organized crime infiltrations of Telecom. You got shell resellers, defaulted carrier bills, and a river of cash, proving that this wasn't petty consumer fraud. It was racketeering by design. States start jumping in. By 1999, places like California require plain language fee and contact disclosures, choking off anonymous brands. The CPUC and state attorney generals hammer violators while the Federal Trade Commission and the FCC pursue deceptive practice in laundering cases way into the 2000s. The gray fog that shielded the racket's starting to lift. Burn carriers changed the rules. No easy credit, surety bonds up front, tighter KYC on resellers, and faster service cutoffs when traffic looks weird. The old play, buy on net 30, sell for cash, then default, it stopped working. And that's when the market flips. Sell plans get cheaper, voice over IP arrives, and long-distance rates collapse. Consumers migrate to branded cards or just ditch cards altogether. With margins gone and the heat on, families exit quietly. The golden window slams shut. So in the end, the phone card era wasn't a gimmick. It was a playbook test for modern mob money. First, the mob can pivot to tech, exploiting deregulation as quickly as any startup. Second, a broker model. Think Frank Cali's calm, give a slice approach. That beats the Gotti-era Barker model every time. And third, the minute you hit a Fortune 500's pocket, you trigger a federal swarm with grand juries, regulators, and restitution. Junior Gotti ultimately pleads out on a broader RICO package. The card exposure accelerates his fall. Joe Watts, he avoids a card trial but later goes down on an unrelated case. Frank Cali, he keeps his distance from the mess and rises on quiet competence, and years later he meets a separate, fatal end in 2019. From plastic minutes to hard lessons, the card scam showed how fast old crews can learn new tricks and how fast those tricks draw heat. For a few wild years, prepaid cards were the mob's new cash cow until regulators, carriers, and agents shut the spigot. Your take. Was Cali's 25-cent a card move true power or just appeasement? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read everything. If you dig deep source mob history, like the video, subscribe, and tap that bell. For documents, timelines, and deep dives you won't find anywhere else, visit realmobstories.com. I'm James Proctor. Until next time, take care, stay safe, and God bless you always.